Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio on Monday, November 14th, the week before Thanksgiving 2022. And thanks so much for being with us today. We're going to spend a half hour with the wonderful president of the American Association of School Librarians, Kathy Lester, who's a librarian at the East Middle School in Plymouth, Michigan, in her spare time. President Association takes up a lot of time. So does being a librarian at East Middle School. We're going to talk about the right to read. Before we start that, I just want to remind you that the brand new issue of our magazine, Equity and Access, is up on site over at ace-ed.org. That's ace-ed.org. All right, it's a great issue. I hope you'll take the time to read it. Got a lot of stuff on there on SEL. We talk about teacher retention over on the site, and we archive every podcast over there at ace-ed.org. So there's a lot of stuff doing, and check out the new issue of the magazine. Again, ace-ed.org. And like Ed McMahon used to say, here's Kathy. Hi, Kath. It's Larry. How you doing today, this Monday?
Great. Thank you for having me.
You're always welcome here. And how is the weather in Plymouth, Michigan?
It is cold today. It was a nice, brisk wake up this morning.
How bad is it? How cold is it? Can't be that cold.
It was in the 30s today, so yeah.
It's warm. I live in Maine. That's still summer. Come on, Kat, get with the program. You know that.
We've had an unusually warm fall with 70 degrees days and stuff.
We have. So we're a little bit back to normal, and Thanksgiving's coming, sure. And we're going to have all going to have a good one next week. Okay, the right to read. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And again, Kathy's president of the American Association of School Librarians. And I want to start by you explaining. There's something called the Right to Read Act. And what is that? And what kind of legislation is it? Can you talk about that, Kath, as we begin?
Sure.
Put all this into perspective.
Yeah. Right. Representative Jack Reed, who is from Rhode Island. It's Senator Jack Reed, who's from Rhode Island, and Representative Raul Grijalva, who's from Arizona, have both introduced these bills, one in the Senate and one in the House. And the bills are basically to reaffirm students' First Amendment rights to read, apply to school libraries. They provide protections for teachers and librarians providing access to reading materials to students. And also an important thing is it's trying to ensure that all students, including low-income, minority, children with disabilities, English language learners, all have access to effective school libraries staffed by state-certified school librarians to provide them that access with the materials for the right to read. So those are just a few of the things in the bill. So,
hopefully it moves forward with the new Congress in there, et cetera, starting in January or even sooner. Okay, and it is important. You know, we are the American Consortium for Equity in Education. That's kind of the acronym of our website. ACE-ED.org, American Consortium for Equity in Education. And equity is incredibly important for us, for the kids, et cetera, et cetera. And I have to say, in this crazy world we live in, sometimes libraries and librarians are the first things to go, okay? And they should be the last thing to go because they are the hub of the school. They are the media center in the age of technology. They are the technical center. Okay, and I can't, this is extremely important. I'll tell you something else. In under-resourced schools, there are so many kids who do not have access to a good library. And if they don't have access to a good library, and I quote, a certified librarian, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here, Kathy, okay? But if they don't have access to a certified librarian, they're going to be, it's not equitable, okay? They're not going to move forward the way they have to. And I just think it's just so important. Kathy, I know you agree with me. Feel free to speak up.
Yeah, definitely. There are numerous studies that show that students in a school with a well-funded and library that's staffed by a certified school librarian does better academic achievement. They have higher graduation rates. They do better on those standardized tests. They are more prepared for college because they have the skills that they need to do research, to find good
Yeah.
information, have the stamina of reading that they might need in their college. And even if they're not going on to college, those skills that we teach about information literacy and using technology appropriately are relevant in anyone's life nowadays, really.
They sure. And I'm going to ask you, this is kind of a funny question. We're going to talk about the generic, but let's narrow it down a little bit. You're the librarian, school librarian, I'm sure a terrific one, at East Middle School in Plymouth, Michigan. Okay. What's a typical day or couple of days like as you work with the teachers for you? What do you see?
Well, I think, I have a lot of different days because I support a lot of different things in my school. So if I just look at my week this week, right, this week I'm going into 7th grade classes, a couple days teaching students how to evaluate web resources so that they can find credible information on the internet. I'll also be going in and teaching them about some library databases that have, more higher quality information in them and specifically targeted towards the type of research they're doing. And then I'm teaching them how to cite their sources so they're not, they're giving proper credit to the information that they use. And then also this week I'm doing some book tastings with sixth grade classes where I basically, set out books in different genres and give students a chance through this tasting activity to try a whole variety of different books. So that helps them decide, it helps them find new reading material and helps them decide, which books they might like to check out for their independent reading. So I'm supporting independent reading. And I've also just, some days I go in and teach technology, like we use different ways for students to create using technology. And so I might go in one day and teach them how to use WeVideo, which is a tool to how they can create videos to show their learning, whether it's creating their own book trailer or whether it's creating, a public service announcement for a issue that they've done some research on to try to convince people, say, to, not pollute or, different things like that.
Yeah.
So I do a whole variety of things, and every day looks a little different. But that's just some things I'll be doing this week.
And that's amazing. And I think it's really wonderful. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that this is an age where we need media literacy, all right? And it's librarians who bring that about. And it's librarians who, we'll talk about this in a second, ensure a good and equitable, diverse set of resources for the kids. But if you didn't do that, all right, think about it. How well are trained are the teachers? And I love teachers, please don't misunderstand that. But my point of it is they need a librarian to make all this happen. Talk about that. I mean, you're doing a little. This is not some extra stupid, goofy thing so the teacher can grab a cigarette outside. Okay.
No, I do feel like.
And by the way, most teachers don't smoke. I do know that. I'm just using that as a little example. Yeah.
So teachers definitely have a huge amount of responsibilities, and they have to know a lot of different things, and we keep pushing more and more on them. And having the school librarian in their schools is really, teachers really value that, and they help them find resources for their own teaching as well as coming in and collaborating and teaching on lessons. And so a lot of times I'll talk to, and even that technology piece, like I work with some teachers that they would not be using those technology tools if they didn't have me to support them.
Yeah.
So they rely on their school librarians, and it just takes that level of stress off of them to be able to collaborate, co-teach, rely on school librarians for advice and access to resources that will support their students in their learning.
That's good. I tell you, it's so.
So we're partners.
Yeah, you are partners. Okay. Even more. Yeah, you are partners without question. So I mentioned this a minute ago. talk about you wrote this phrase, an equitable access to a diverse set of resources. All right. And that is really key, that everybody, A, has access, and so that everybody has, but B, to the right resources, okay, to a lot of different stuff. And just why is it important for students to get that? And you can talk about it just in terms of students in Plymouth, Michigan, or anywhere else.
Well, it's so important that students have access to a wide set of resources. Number one, promoting student achievement. It's really important, especially with that reading material. When students can find reading material that's engaging to them or reflects them, they get more invested in their reading. They learn more. It's kind of that cyclical thing of they read more, they learn more, then they want to learn more, right? It also enhances their youth well-being, like connecting them to resources helps them kind of investigate some tough topics or, even things that maybe they or friends or family members are struggling with. And it does it in that safe way through a book and literature, reading about those things and maybe reading about how other people have approached or solved or tackled those tough problems. So it helps them with their own well-being, but then it also contributes to, community cohesion in that terms of there's so many studies that show that books can help us develop empathy, tolerance, compassion, understanding for other people. So having those resources is really important for all of those things: achievement, well-being, community. It's just such an important thing. And having a school librarian there who has that education and background in the right way
and provide
to
the resources. And provide the
resources
because other people don't know where those resources are. Okay, It's librarians who are trained for this. I mean, it's so obvious. I constantly am fighting this battle. Okay, and all the things you just said about empathy and neighborliness and cultural understanding, and if I may, resilience and everything else. You can learn so many lessons from books. But all of that what you just said is all about social emotional learning. And there isn't a superintendent in the country who doesn't believe that SEL is the most important thing, certainly this year, because coming off the pandemic, et cetera. And because, there's been a lot of division in the country. We need to learn to get along with each other again. Okay? And that's everybody. And the SEL is literally top priority, all right, for schools. Because if the kids aren't happy and engaged and understanding and all those things, they're not going to learn. Okay, it's that there's too many other things on their mind. We got to get their mind settled first, and the importance of having the right collection of books and the right collection and the accessibility to them and learning how to access it. I mean, that's the librarian's job. Your thoughts on that on the SEL side, Kathy?
Oh yeah, it is so true. Like I have a collaboration even with the counselors in my school, and we have developed a set of resources, to help those counselors provide students. So if they need a book or they need an article, or, about different topics, we collaborate and work together. And so it's really an important thing in providing even just a lot of my students see the library as that safe place. Sometimes they want to, come here and get away from, say, a group of individuals or things like that. And my space is just that space for all different kinds of students, right? And I want to make sure everybody feels welcome here in the library, and that's a really important part of it as well.
I got a big smile on my face when you said that.
Belongingness, for all the kids, that everyone, has a place here. So, that's a big part of what we do too.
Yeah, there's something for everyone at the library, and
That's true.
and the other thing is that it's a peaceful place. Okay. Well, I
Mhm.
actually, maker spaces and all that, I really shouldn't go and say that for,
Well,
but just mentally, it's a
I
peaceful
was
place. Let me put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it's not, I don't, I am
You're not
definitely
walking
not
around
one of those
shushing people.
librarians that
Yeah.
shushing people. I'm not that, I'm not that person
Kathy's
at
right
all.
now has
But
her hair tied back in a bun, wearing sensible shoes. Right, so no problem.
but I do, like the library is a place of community and
Yeah, it
kids
is.
working together and, but then again, it's still a place where you know that you're not going to be bullied or you're going to be,
Yeah,
get in trouble
and
for,
it's also a
certain
place
things.
where you can go and ask for a book that you want to read, and nobody's going to, if I may, laugh at you, okay, for asking for
Right.
that book. Okay, they're
Right.
going to go, that's great that you want that book on that subject. Let me get it for you. Okay, and
That's very true.
It's really important. And for the life of me, I can't understand why schools, again, reluctantly, but a lot of times the first thing they cut is library services, and it's absolutely absurd. When that to me is one of the most important things. It's just ridiculous. And getting back to this right to read thing and finding all the right resources, there are these things these days. Everybody knows this. They're called book challenges. Okay, and then that's where some people in our community might not like a book that's chosen for whatever reason. Okay, be they liberal, be they too liberal, be they too conservative, be they too this, be they too that. Okay, and what's going on with that? What's the trend like on that? What did you hear?
Well,
Not just locally, nationally. Yeah.
Yeah, nationally, there definitely is a trend. The American Library Association keeps statistics, and the number of book challenges this school year, say from, beginning of January through August, because they put out a new report during Banned Book Weeks, which was at the end of September, that we were on track for being the highest number of book challenges ever since they've been keeping statistics. And so it's just really kind of an alarming trend against this right to read and the freedom to read of our students. We want, the library is that choice reading, and we're trying to talk to parents and community members and let them know that, if they don't want their student to read that book, that's fine. We can talk to the student, but there's plenty of other books that student can read. But maybe there's a different student, that needs access to that book, right? So it's really important that we, censorship has never been looked on. When we go back in history and look back on the times where there's been a lot of censorship, those periods of time have never been looked on necessarily favorably. We really want to have
favorable
that.
Times. They're normally not favorable
Right.
times. But actually, you bring up an interesting question, kind of an ethical question. Okay, and the question is, I have to ask it this way, but please understand, I'm asking it with a grain of salt. Is a book, when parents perform a book challenge, are they going at it from a censorship point of view? Censorship is a very, very harsh word. Okay, and I agree with everything you're saying, but how do you look on a book challenge? Can parents be right on all this kind of thing? I mean, it's a very difficult balance, and I heard what you said about. You if your child or a group of children don't want to read it, they'll be protected from it. Okay, that's parents' right, quite obviously. But are all book challenges censorship? Maybe that's a way to put it.
Right. Well, there is a process in place. So there is a process in place, and typically, we have school board approved policies about not just our selection process, but the challenge process as well. So parents do have a right to challenge materials, and they can follow that school board policy, which typically what happens in a school board policy is they write up the challenge. It would be great if they've read the entire book that they're trying to challenge rather than just and the district typically forms a committee, right? And the committee will look at that challenge and say, hey, yes, that parent was right that this really isn't a book for our community, or no, we really feel like this book has merit and should stay on the shelf. So there is a process, and the committee does make a decision. But one of the alarming things lately, too, is that in many, not in all, but in some areas, they're jumping around that process, right? A small group of people might complain and they pull the book off the shelf without going through that process. So as school librarians, we really want to talk to parents about materials and what they want their children to read or not to read, but we also want to respect the policies and what we have in place.
And usually, you might know this, just nationally, if a book is challenged, what percentages of the challenges hold up? When all said and done, if 100 books are challenged, are 90 of them thrown out, or are 90 of them said, okay, this is good? Do you happen to know offhand?
Yeah, I think that they're probably, I would say lately there may be a higher percentage of ones that have actually been pulled than maybe they have been historically, but I can't give you an exact number on that.
Yeah,
but
well,
I would have to go back and talk to
curious.
So I do know that it goes both ways. That there's been committees that decide to keep the materials and they keep them, but then there've been other cases where they've decided to pull materials. So
and some communities are very conservative and some are very liberal, and most are in between. It's that simple.
Right.
Right. And you do have to respect the community you're in. Okay, every librarian does. It's so interesting. Yeah, so interesting.
Right, and I do feel like sometimes, though, there are parents in the community that are not. They need to realize and respect that not there may be a diversity of opinions within that community, is what I get. And that's what's really important to us, that we need to make sure that the voices that are, marginalized or not heard all the time, that they have their spot and their place as well.
It's about you, but it's not only about you.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's what a library's function is. And I think
right, definitely, and especially in a public school, we really have to make sure we're, providing materials for everyone, our entire community, not just like the majority, right?
And in all the shows I've done with AASL, I don't think I've ever asked this next question. Okay, you're a school librarian, okay, but we also have public libraries, okay, with public librarians. Okay, what's the difference? If you really looked at it, what would be the big difference between a school librarian and a public librarian? There you go, Chief. Have fun. Go ahead with that one.
One of the biggest differences is most school librarians have teaching certificates, as well as our library certification. Like, I have a master's in library and information science, but I also have a teaching certificate in my state. So I'm certified to teach.
What did you teach, or what are you? What kind of teacher
what am I certified to teach? I'm actually probably a somewhat unique school librarian in that I'm certified to teach mathematics.
Whoa!
And also computer, technology.
I got to tell you something. You're gonna love this. Are you ready for this? I just saw an ad.
Yeah.
Stenhouse. You're gonna love this. Stenhouse Publishing just put out a book called Mathematizing Literature. And and the book is stories using mathematics as the basis. Okay, and I just saw that today in one of the ads that popped up on the internet.
Sounds very interesting.
I thought, well, you're a math teacher who's a librarian. You're going to love this. From Stenhouse. I'll give her a free plug, right?
Yeah.
You never see that.
Well,
a math teacher. Go ahead. I'm very impressed.
But I've been in the school library for more than 20 years now, so I feel like I'm really more.
Yeah, you can still add 2 plus 2. Come on. You can still add 2 plus 2.
Yeah, obviously, but I'm still more teacher librarian than mathematics teacher, right? So, definitely so.
You must be great on the Dewey Decimal System. You must be fabulous with all the numbers. I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. That's cool.
Yeah. So, and so I feel like the logic and organizational principles and my experience in technology have supported that side of my work as a school librarian very definitely.
How did you get the experience in technology? Just do it yourself, or did you go to school for that?
Well,
because the librarians run the media center, basically. I'm just curious.
Right. I do feel like in our preparation program for school librarians, there are ed tech coursework requirements for that. So specifically, there is that. But also, again, I'm unique in this that my previous career before I I was a software engineer and worked developing software and managing a software company.
Where'd you come from, Creton? For goodness sakes, you were paid to work. This is incredible. Okay, you were a software engineer, then you became a math teacher, and then you became a librarian, a school librarian?
Sort of, that is. I mean, I always had my undergraduate degree was in mathematics, and that led me to working for a company as a software engineer. They, because I had enough computer courses with my math courses that they hired me. And I always had my teaching certificate.
A female tech person is fabulous. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So, it's
Kathy
really
Lester ahead of the curve. Wow.
It really has supported my career as a school librarian, but I've also always loved literature and reading. That's really important. So I feel like school librarians have they're people that work both sides of their brain a lot in terms of that, reading and supporting that, and then that other side, that logic, organization, technology.
Plymouth, Michigan. I have to ask this: did Plymouth, Michigan purchase you in a lab where they build people like you, software engineers who become school librarians? That's just incredible. Right?
No.
You know how lucky they are?
But I'm really proud of my district. My district is an amazing school district. We have a certified school librarian in every school in our district, and that is not necessarily true in Michigan. So I'm very proud of my district, and our superintendent was just selected as the Michigan Association of Superintendents. I'm saying the name of that organization wrong, but she's got selected as the superintendent of the year for our state.
Who is your superintendent?
So I'm really,
who's
really proud of that. Her name is Monica Merritt, and Monica Merritt, and she's very supportive of our school libraries, and so we're very proud.
She is a Merit Scholar. She's fabulous. Wow!
Yeah.
Congratulations! I'm going to try to track her down, invite her on the show, Michigan Superintendent of the Year, and that's a pretty big honor. That's really quite an honor. It's a big state.
Yeah, it is.
And an important state. Wow. Well, what a great district to live in. I don't know. Wherever you were built to do this, Kathy. I'm telling you. Okay, man. Oh man. Are there any more out there? Is there like Kathy Lester 2? Type of thing?
Well, we just had our state school library association conference last week, and there are just so many amazing school librarians. I mean, just a wide variety of people, and I always learn so much from working with them and learning from them. So it is, school librarians share information. Really, that's part of who we are. That's part of our job, right? So when we get together and share that information with each other to help each other improve their practice, how wonderful is that, right? It's really great.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. And I'll tell you something. You should go to your social studies department and talk to them about the right to read. No pun to Jack Reed, the superintendent, the senator, excuse me, from Rhode Island. Okay, READ, Right to Read Act. Okay, and talk to them, get them involved, get the social. They love civics. It's a great civics lesson. Has to do with the library.
It definitely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Definitely is. Yep.
And who better than Jack Reed to do the Right to Read Act? There you go.
Yeah. He's always been a strong supporter of all libraries, Senator Reed. So we're very fortunate.
Little Rhode Island. Yep. Okay, is a darn good state.
Yep.
Okay, with the longest name. It used to be the Commonwealth of Rhode Island and Providence Plantation. That was the official name of the state. Okay, longest state name for the tiniest little state. Okay, Kathy, this is great. It's always great to have you here. I love having you, doing a wonderful job as president. So congratulations, Madam Software Engineer, Madam President, Madam Librarian. I mean, it's just incredible. Really something. Have a great Thanksgiving, Kathy.
You too. So great talking to you.
Okay, you will indeed.
Take care.
Take care. Have a good holiday.
Bye. Bye-bye.
The incredible Kathy Lester, everybody, the president of the American Association of School Librarians. Check out the Right to Read Act. Okay? Everybody deserves the right to read and having access to reading, a diverse set of resources. All right? Well, we're going to archive the show at ace-ed.org. I'm Larry Jacobs. Thanks for listening.